Expenditure. Todd McClay.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much for giving me the call. Yes, I wish to rise and speak on the Reserve Bank of New Zealand financial review undertaken by the Finance and Expenditure Committee, an extremely hard-working and diligent committee that it is. Now, Mr. Speaker, I want to make a couple of general comments around the work of the Reserve Bank, and particularly the focus that the government has had over the last 3.5 years, but particularly what's happened since the election, and then in particular also would like to make mention of the current Governor of the Reserve Bank and an announcement made by our Minister of Finance today about a future appointment. So, Mr. Speaker, what's happened since the election, and what work has the Reserve Bank been focusing on? Well, the government is getting its books back into order and setting a path back towards surplus. And this is extremely important for the government. We campaigned on this, but more so than that, it's important for everyday New Zealanders. You see, Mr. Speaker, not so long ago, the Governor of the Reserve Bank made an announcement that he would be keeping the interest rates in New Zealand at a steady rate, one of the lowest we've seen in many, many years. And this is great news for New Zealanders because as we look around the world at the many challenges that countries are facing with their economies, with governments that are not as single-mindedly focused as this government is on doing the right thing for New Zealanders in the economy, well, there is great havoc being wreaked all over the place. And we see it every day in Greece and other parts of Europe and so on. But the good news about where our interest rates sit at the moment is mum and dad New Zealanders are paying much less for the money they've borrowed to invest in property and other things than they were 3.5, 4 years ago. And I remember at the time, Mr. Speaker, returning to New Zealand, having spent some time overseas, as many Kiwis do, and deciding to come back here and stand up and do my part on behalf of other New Zealanders because I was so very concerned with the direction New Zealand was heading in after 9 years of a Labour government. And the first thing I did with my wife, my family, was to go and look to purchase a property. And we went to the bank to find out what the interest rate would be. And it was over 9%, Mr. Speaker, over 9%. And so the member opposite has said, what about jobs? Well, when hard-working Kiwis have to pay mortgages and their interest rates are over 9%, actually no wonder it's so difficult for them and they find it so tough to get by. Today the interest rates are set around 5% if you want to go and borrow, and what a great difference that makes. So very much, Mr. Speaker, reducing debt, focusing on government spending, making sure that the money that the government spends on behalf of taxpayers is done so productively and for the very best return for those taxpayers is something that the government is focused on. Of course, we know that the government books are set to move back towards surplus 2014-2015. And this is going to be a very difficult job for us to deliver on. And the reason for that is there's all sorts of uncertainty in other parts of the world, which, of course, as a trading nation, will have an impact upon us. But the most important thing we can do here, Mr. Chairman, is continue the work that we have done over the last 3 years so that New Zealanders, so that businesses, so the Governor of the Reserve Bank, so that our country can have confidence that the government is on the right track, is moving forward, is taking sound financial management practices extremely seriously in the economy, and that they too can have confidence in the direction that we are moving in. We had an announcement last week around some of these statistics, and it took many by surprise. Increased growth rates. So the quarter increase of gross domestic product, 1.1%, and it took the annual growth to 2.4% compared to March 2011. Well, it is very difficult for the world's economy at the moment. In fact, I think we're probably second, maybe it's third in the world when it comes to growth at the moment. And whilst that is modest growth, it's better than was forecast. And again, I think this shows that New Zealand is slowly but surely moving towards a stronger footing. I would say, Mr. Chairman, that I think that this could be patchy as we move forward because these things do go up and down a little bit, but certainly this is to be welcomed and it's welcome news, and I encourage other members of the House to get out and encourage New Zealanders to get on with their lives, to do their jobs, to run their businesses, and slowly together we move forward. So what I want to say here is I want to recognise the Reserve Bank Governor Alan Bollard for doing a fantastic job for a number of years. he can be very proud of some of the decisions he's taken and the way that we've been able to work as a government in line with him. And he's done a very good job in these areas, but thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The question is that the report of the Finance and Expenditure Committee on the financial review of the Reserve Bank of New Zealand be noted. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Members, I understand the next entity which